An hour later, Zhang Xuan walks out from the logistics branch and his eyes twinkle in excitement. If it had been his previous self, he would have ended up being taken advantage of today. However, with the Library of Heaven's path, his life took a complete turn towards another direction. Perhaps it is a blessing for me to transcend over. This kind of exciting life is what I hope for. Zhang Xuan clenches his fist and exhales a breath of air. In his previous life, he was only a librarian living a plain and simple life that only rotates around the library and his home. Even if he were to continue on like that, he would only continue claiming his salary and continue with his aimless life. However, things are different here. With the great gift package known as the Library of Heaven's Path, perhaps he would be able to walk further and become stronger. He would be able to live an entirely new and exciting life. At this moment, Zhang Xuan has finally become a part of the world. He no longer struggles in his heart over the dilemma between his homeland and this world. Don't pull me. Let me die. I want to die. Just when he is secretly celebrating, he hears a piercing wail from a distance not too far away. It sounds like a frenzied bull, causing one's heart to tear in agony. Turning around, he sees a fatty howling that he would charge towards the man-made lake in the academy and commit suicide by jumping into it. Behind the fatty, no one tries to stop him. The fatty himself also doesn't charge forward despite howling non-stop. Suddenly, he turns around and grabs the palm of a student beside him and puts it on himself, making it seem as though the student is pulling him back. Then, he continues howling. Don't pull me, let me die. I don't want to live anymore. Everyone is speechless. That's too shameless. Zhang Xuan shakes his head. This fatty, despite not wanting to die, insists on portraying a fake image of someone restraining himself from committing suicide. He is really shameless. Knowing that this fellow can't possibly die, he can't be bothered with him anymore. Instead, he walks towards his own classroom. Before he could walk far, the howling voice seems to close in on him as the ground tremors. Following which, a pair of thick arms hugs his leg. Teacher, I'm begging you, please accept me as your disciple. They all scorn me because of my size, and reject me. The fatty bursts into tears. Let go. Zhang Xuan is speechless. Isn't this fellow too eccentric? Rushing over to beg him to accept him as his disciple, upon seeing that he is a teacher, Zhang Xuan has never seen such a person in his life. Teacher, I will only let go if you accept me. Tears and snot flow freely from the multiple faucets of the fatty. His voice sounds so sorrowful that even those who are watching from the side start to sympathize with him. Today, I have already visited over 10 teachers, but none of them were willing to accept me. This teacher over here, seeing how pitiful I am, please accept me. The examinations among the students would also affect a teacher's evaluation. A plump person like him would tend to have trouble in his battles and his agility. Most renowned teachers would be unwilling to accept him. If you want me to accept you, you would have to at least show me your abilities. What do you expect to achieve by hugging my leg? Zhang Xuan says. He possesses the Library of Heaven's path, so he should have no trouble recruiting students. If this person turns out to be mediocre, Zhang Xuan would not accept him as his disciple. Teacher, you have to accept me as your disciple. I am quite capable. The fatty looks up hesitantly before slowly loosening his arms. We have to see, before we know whether you are capable or not. There is no use saying so much. Seeing how he is still slightly reluctant to release his grip, Zhang Xuan kicks him away scornfully. What is this? It would be one thing for a female student hugging his leg. However, not only is he a male, he is also a fatty. He shivers just by the thought of it. Fine. Look at my abilities. The fatty doesn't feel scorned. He stands up and surveys the surrounding. Then, he carries a few concrete blocks over from a short distance away. After which, lifting one up with his hands, he smashes his head into it. Pang! The concrete block shatters. After which, he carries a few more concrete block, and shatters it using his elbow and leg without an exception, they all shatter. This fellow may seem plump, but he is skilled in Hongtian martial arts. Ignoring his Hongtian, Zhang Xuan is currently looking through the book that is automatically compiled in his mind. The skills trained through Hongtian can also be considered as a type of martial arts. The moment the fatty displays his prowess, the library began to compile his information. Yuan Tao, a wandering cultivator in Dihuang City, Fighter 1 Dan Juxi Realm Intermediate. Flaws, 18 aspects. Number 1. The ancient emperor bloodline in his body has yet to be activated. Number 2. His foundations are too weak, the martial arts he trains in emperor bloodline. Looking at the records on the book, Zhang Xuan is taken aback. After merging with the memories of the previous owner of the body, he knows that in this world, bloodline and one's innate body is very important. As long as one possesses either one of the two along with a suitable method to utilize it, their cultivation will soar by leaps and bounds in the future, causing their strength to increase exponentially. There are many types of innate bodies, such as pure yin body, pure yang body, immaculate's body, golden body. There are also many types of bloodlines such as ancient bloodlines, new bloodlines, inheritances and mutations. Once found, every single one of them would become a target competed over by countless teachers. The emperor bloodline which the fatty possesses is one of the ancient bloodlines. It is said that when those who possess such bloodline reach the peak of their cultivation, their body would be impenetrable, no objects in the world would be able to break through their defenses. It is one of the most powerful bloodlines among defense-based bloodlines. This inconspicuous, fat and shameless fellow would actually possess an ancient bloodline. His ancient bloodline has yet to be activated. From the looks of it, this fellow doesn't seem to be aware of it as well. A glint flashes through Zhang Xuan's eyes. Of all types of bloodlines, ancient bloodlines are quite powerful. For this fellow to not be accepted after visiting a dozen of teachers, it doesn't mean that they are unable to recognize such a bloodline. Rather, his bloodline has yet to be activated, causing him to be just like any other normal people. Not mentioning how other people aren't able to discern his bloodline, probably even he himself doesn't know about it. However, even if he doesn't know, he does have the potential in this aspect. His defensive abilities are much stronger than the others, and that's the reason why he chose to train in this kind of punchbag martial arts. I must accept this fellow under my tutelage. His eyes twinkle. The entire academy might not even witness a single student possessing ancient bloodline throughout a course of multiple years. For such a good bud to appear before him, how can he possibly allow him to escape? Not bad. I will accept you as my student. Come, acknowledge me as your teacher. Zhang Xuan suppresses the jubilation in his heart, and throws an identity token over to him with a calm face. Teacher, are you really going to accept me? This is great. The fatty seems to have taken quite a few mental blows throughout the day. Upon hearing that a teacher is willing to accept him, he is so excited that he cuts his finger without second thoughts, and squeezes a blood droplet on it. It seems that the standard of the teacher determines the standard of the students he would accept. When the teacher is trash, the student would also be trash. At this moment, a cold scorn sounds out. Turning around, Zhang Xuan sees a cold and arrogant young man walking over. There is a beautiful lady walking beside the young man. Her pitch-black silky hair flows down her shoulders, her pale skin has a creamy texture to it, and her eyes captivate the gaze of those looking into it. Shangbin? Shen Bairu? Upon seeing the two of them, two names immediately float into his head. In the entire academy, there are probably no one who would be unaware of Shen Bairu. She doesn't have any unique background, but she is publicly acknowledged as a beautiful teacher. Even the school bell would pale in comparison when compared to her. It wouldn't have meant anything if she was all looks. The crux of it is that she is skilled in teaching as well. Despite being in this academy for less than a year, she has already become one of the most famous teachers in the academy. Noble, elegant, beautiful and intelligent, she attracts the frenzied pursuit of quite a few teachers. Zhang Xuan's previous self is also one of her pursuers. However, the previous Zhang Xuan was too much of a failure. Not mentioning his weak cultivation, he is also the last in all kinds of examinations. Due to his low self-esteem, even though he is interested in her, he has never talked to the goddess of his heart, needless to say, court her. This young man is called Shangbin and he is the grandson of the academy's elder Xiong. He is also one of her pursuers and he has used his identity to suppress the other pursuers. He seems to have received word from some source that Zhang Xuan is also interested in Shen Bairu, prompting him to insult him whenever they meet, sometimes even resorting to physical violence. However, Shen Bairu doesn't seem to be interested in him. All along, she has been cold to everyone, as though she isn't interested in anyone else, leaving Shangbin distressed and helpless. Who are you insulting as trash? Hearing Shangbin's unrestrained sarcasm, Zhang Xuan doesn't get angry and turns around to look over. Trash is insulting to you. Shangbin smiles contemptuously. Oh, so trash is insulting to me. So smelly, so smelly. Zhang Xuan waves his hand in front of his nose, putting on a disgusted expression. You only now does Shangbin reacts. Being made fun of by the worst teacher in the academy, his face turns red. Hangling is a way of training and literally means training through brute strength. There are 3 main ways of training in martial arts: Wenlian, Wulian and Hanglian. According to Baidu, the 3 different ways of training will lead the martial artists to different peaks. Hanglian refers to a method which uses smashing of one's body onto a hard object in order to train their body parts. Even today, Hanglian is still used as a way of training by a few, like the Iron Head skills. They smash their head on solid objects from young. Upon hearing those words, the ice-cold Shen Bairu smiles faintly. Although this roundabout manner of insulting another means nothing on earth, it is an incomparably novel concept here. Seeing the expression on his goddess, Shangbin feels that he is being mocked. His face flushes in a moment and pales in the next. However, in front of the female goddess, he is determined to maintain a cold decorum, thus he doesn't dare to attack Zhang Xuan directly. Why? Is there something wrong with my words? Suppressing his anger, Shangbin sneers. There isn't a single person who doesn't know what your standards are in the entire academy. This fatty came to my classroom previously. Fat like a pig, he only knows how to defend and nothing else. The strength behind his fist is only a mere 15 kilograms. He must be either the first or second from the bottom in the entrance examination, so if he isn't trash, what is he? Even though he can't teach Zhang Xuan a lesson physically, he is resolute to strike a blow onto him through his words. The first from the bottom in the entrance examination? Zhang Xuan only paid attention to the emperor bloodline, and wasn't aware of such a situation. He turns around to look at the fatty. Who says that I am the first from the bottom? The fatty retorts confidently. Then, he scratches his head in embarrassment. I am only the 9,997th place. 9,997th place? Only? A faint spell afflicts Zhang Xuan and he almost vomits blood. Hongtian Academy only accepts 10,000 students every year. Although it recruits so many people every year, there are always several students who fail to report due to several reasons. 9,997th place, it is almost as good as being in the last place, alright. Besides, with such a low ranking, how can you still be so confident? Zhang Xuan feels as though he hasn't fully woken up. It can't be that you accept anyone who is a student? Shang Bin sneers once again. Then, flinging his sleeves, an arrogant look appears on his face as he declares, I have a clear requirement when accepting students. I don't accept anyone who is below the 500th in rank. The teacher, who is first from the bottom, and the student, who is first from the bottom. How compatible. Ha! Are you done talking? Towards his mockery, Zhang Xuan simply shakes his head. Now that you're done, you can leave. Previously, he has examined Yuan Tao clearly with the Library of Heaven's Path. That fatty is a wandering cultivator, so it is normal for him to know no cultivation technique and martial arts. As long as he finds a way to activate his emperor bloodline, his cultivation would definitely soar by leaps and bounds. You. If it was someone else, being mocked to such an extent, they would definitely be trembling from anger. However, this fellow doesn't even bat an eyelid to it. For Shang Bin's attack to land on thin air, his face turns even uglier. It seems that a rotten wood cannot be carved. After a cold humph, Shang Bin looks at Shen Bairu beside him and says, Bairu Laoshi, let's go. If we stay with this kind of trash for too long, we would be contaminated by them. Hearing Shang Bin's direct sarcasm, Shen Bairu frowns and chooses not to leave with him. Instead, she turns around, Zhang Xuan Laoshi. Her voice is like an aureole, clear and enchanting, stirring up complex emotions in its listeners. Zhang Xuan didn't expect that the academy's prettiest teacher would initiate a conversation with him. He is taken aback. Although the previous time you didn't score so well for your teacher qualification examination, do not give up on yourself. Work hard and you will find yourself rewarded in the end. Shen Bairu nods her head. From her point of view, Zhang Xuan accepting one of the worst students means that he doesn't hold any hope and has given up on himself. Towards this ex-pursuer of hers, even if she doesn't fancy him, she doesn't hope to see him wallowing in his failures. Thank you for your advice. He knows that the other party is truly concerned for him. Zhang Xuan nods his head and explains, this student, although he might not be anything now, he could turn out to be a jade. As long as I guide him properly, it isn't impossible for him to shine. Shen Bairu doesn't speak any further and instead starts to walk away. She thinks that Zhang Xuan's explanation is only an excuse. Given Yuan Tao's size and his lack of basic knowledge at his age, there is bound to be a limit to his future achievements. Darn it. Seeing the goddess of his heart talking to the worst teacher in the academy and even motivating him, Shang Bin's face distorts savagely. The inferno in his heart rages as he stares at Zhang Xuan coldly before following behind Shen Bairu. Bairu, it is better for you to avoid contact with this kind of people. It will sully your flawless disposition. Shang Laoshi, I am a little tired today and would like to rest. I hope that you do not follow me. Before Shang Bin could finish his words, Shen Bairu turns around to leave. Damn it, damn it. Zhang Xuan, just you wait. I will definitely get back at you for this. He watches as his goddess walks further and further away before she disappears from sight. At this moment, he has already directed all of his anger towards Zhang Xuan. In his opinion, if it wasn't for that inauspicious fellow, the goddess would definitely have dinner with him. How could it be possible for her to turn around to leave? Since you have acknowledged me as your teacher, you must know where my classroom is. After the both of them left, Zhang Xuan turns his attention away from them and calls out to the fatty. Great! The fatty hurriedly stands up and smiles at him. Teacher, now that I am your student, can you tell me which teacher are you in the academy? Hearing his words, Zhang Xuan grabs his forehead. This fellow, to think that he acknowledged whichever teacher he manages to set his eyes upon, not even clarifying Zhang Xuan's identity beforehand. I am Zhang Xuan. Zhang Xuan says. Zhang Xuan Laoshi? The Zhang Laoshi who scored first from the bottom for the teacher qualification examination, not to mention a 0. At this moment, Fatty finally realizes who he acknowledged as his teacher. The fats on his body tremble as his lip twitches. All he is lacking now is tears. That's me. Zhang Xuan nods his head. Ah. That, Zhang Laoshi. Fatty scratches his head. Seeing how I am weak and dim-witted, not to mention fat, why don't you take me out from your lessons? Zhang Xuan. Teacher, I am being serious over here. The 2 teachers from a moment ago have also said it. If you don't expel me from your tutelage, your reputation would be sullied. I am afraid of pulling you down with me. Fatty continues. I am not afraid of being pulled down. Besides, now that we have verified our relationship through the identity token, I only have a sentence for you. You will live as my student and die as my student. Stop talking about useless things here. Zhang Xuan waves his hand. Fatty's face distorts and he is on the verge of crying. Due to his weakness, he wanted to acknowledge a good student so that his future could be boundless. However, never would he dream that the last place student would be paired with the last place teacher. Why is my life so difficult? Alright, this is my classroom. Now, claim your bedding and remember to come to lessons punctually tomorrow. Zhang Xuan says impatiently. This classroom. Looking at the size of the classroom, Fatty finds himself on the verge of tears yet again. Even the locations where he underwent the entrance examination previously were much bigger than this. A classroom of this size probably can't hold many students. Teacher, if I don't come tomorrow, would you expel me? Fatty is still bearing illusions in his mind. Expel? That I won't. However, I will throw you into the lake, which you wanted to jump into to feed the turtles. Zhang Xuan nods his head seriously. Didn't I say it? You will live as my student and die as my student. Relax, I will fulfill the role of my teacher and bury you properly. Teacher. Before Zhang Xuan could finish his words, he was interrupted by Fatty. With a serious face and unwavering will in his eyes, he says, What time do we start lessons tomorrow? I will come in advance to clean the classroom. It is my honor to meet such a great teacher. In the future, no matter who wants to admit me as their disciple, I will reject them firmly and reprimand them. Zhang Xuan. Initially, Zhang Xuan thought that he himself is shameless. However, he didn't expect that his student would be even more shameless than he is.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.